is Mrs. Lynn, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about psychology as a social studies elective. It is course number HST020. It is a one semester social studies elective. It can be used for social studies or for electives credit, depending on where you need the credit. It is a half credit because it is only half of the school year. It is recommended for students in 11th and 12th grades. Some of the content might be better for more mature students, so we do recommend that this be mainly juniors and seniors, though oftentimes some sophomores will take the course and they're definitely mature enough to handle the content that we discuss. There's a wide variety of assignments. I would say that there's very little actual content that comes with the course. So I supplement that with some additional course content that I've added. On a scale of 1 to 5 of how difficult the course is, I would say it's around a 2 or 3 when you think about how much time is required and your skill level for it. Not a lot of reading, so reading fluency is not necessarily so much of an issue, but it is really just that it's one of those courses where you really have to participate, and one of those courses where everything's not necessarily black and white, and you may be asked to really just kind of think about things, and think about things maybe in a different way that you're not used to. Have you ever wondered why people do the things they do? If you're that kind of person who wonders why people do the things they do, then psychology might really be the course for you. There's not a lot of reading. I do supplement with crash course videos. You can check them out on YouTube at Crash Course Psychology. There are 40 total, and we use about 10 of them in the class. We talk about things like Gestalt psychology, that down here on the bottom left where you see this, hopefully you can tell it's a snowman. We talk about the topic of closure and Gestalt psychology. We talk about classical and operant conditioning. You've probably heard of Ivan Pavlov from biology class. He is related to classical conditioning, and we talk about classical and operant conditioning. And then we have other important people in the field of psychology like Freud, Piaget, and we'll talk about their developmental theories and the various theories that they have. Piaget's is the cognitive development. Freud had multiple theories. So we also talk about things like, how do we develop and things like that, which hence is why there was a picture of the baby up there. So the Crash Course Psychology, this series of videos, they're done by John and Hank Green. Many of you know of them because they write a lot of young adult fiction novels. The psychology ones are hosted by Hank Green, and he's very entertaining. As I mentioned, we'll do 2 of those per unit. And the videos are very short, 10 to 15 minutes long. I provide notes for students, so as you watch the video, you can take notes on the video. You can pause it, go back and watch it again. You use those notes, you complete a 5-question quiz, but it's a good way to get the information from someone other than me or from the course content so that you really have a good understanding of the information in psychology. And then those obviously help to supplement, as I mentioned, the course content because it's pretty light for this course itself. An example of one of the famous figures in psychology I briefly mentioned before, John Piaget, his theory of cognitive development, and you can see an example of that theory over here on the left-hand side where he goes through different stages as a person ages and how their brain develops and what types of things they're capable of doing through those different stages of development. So I hope this gives you kind of a good maybe idea of what psychology might be. As I mentioned before, if you're someone who is curious about why people do the things they do, you're someone who would probably really enjoy a psychology course. It's a good general course, and a course that many people are required to take in college as a freshman. So you'd have a little bit of a head start if you get a psychology course in high school. You'll at least have an idea of some of the things that they're discussing when you take your college intro to psych course. So if you have any questions, make sure you reach out and ask me, and I hope to see some of you in class in the 2020-2021 school year.